And welcome back to the Ask Dr. Renee show here at blackdoctor.org. So this month, we have been talking about asthma and allergy awareness month. So I have had, last week was food allergy awareness week. So we had the most amazing treats. And actually 2 of the ladies are in Chicago and they have created their own product. Like, who does that? So amazing. So my guest today, not food, but she's created something pretty special too. But I need everyone to please share the broadcast because I promise you know somebody that has allergies or asthma or both. Please share the broadcast. Let me know where you're tuning in from and share on whatever platform you're on and share away, please, because we want everyone to get this great information. And honestly, today's story, I think, will give you great information, but also may inspire you to become an entrepreneur or to invent something. I don't know. So I'm really excited to talk to her. A good friend of mine whom I met online, Talisha Shine, told me about Robin Wilson. And I was like, oh my goodness. And I immediately found her on LinkedIn and was like, oh yes, she has got to be on during Asthma and Allergy Awareness Month. So I'm so excited to have her. Can you guys please make sure you share the broadcast, share out, and let's talk to Robin. Good evening.
How are you doing?
Great. Thank you for coming.
Yes, and it's one of those moments where allergy season has hit everyone. I have friends in California and Texas who call me now and they're saying, "What should I do? I'm wheezing, I'm sneezing. Do I have a cold? Do I have COVID?" I'm like, "You likely have allergies right now, and you need to mitigate it, protect and prevent, and make sure that you don't create too much inflammation in your body."
Yeah, I literally just saw a post of a little kid that came in from playing outside and he just looked a wreck. And mom's like, oh no, what do? We can't keep him locked inside. And so, you gotta spray down when you get inside and, you have to get all that stuff off of you. And I tell everyone I had allergy shots as a kid. Thank you, Jesus, to my mother and my lovely allergist, Dr. Marvel Morris. May she rest in peace. Because those allergy shots have carried me through with my environmental allergies. I do not have any problems. I took 2 walks today actually outside, and we have several neighbors that for whatever reason have not mowed their lawns. And so my little yellow friends, dandelions are everywhere. And you can see the remnants of the little thing that blows, and all of that is everywhere. But I'm okay. No sniffles, no nothing. So I'm very grateful for the allergy shots that covered me all these years. Thank the Lord. But Robin, please tell us well, first I want you to tell us, what is your story with asthma and allergies? How are you linked with that?
Well, first of all, again, thank you for having me. I am the poster child, I call it, for an allergic child. I was pan-allergic. That means food, pollen, animal dander, smoke, dust, anything you could name, I was probably allergic to. One of the things that my parents did, because I'm from Austin, Texas, they went to a holistic doctor, which back then was called a hippie doctor. And this particular gentleman, Dr. Williams, had a philosophy. It was, you can raise a strong child or a child on strong medicine. What a wonderful way to put it. Because at that moment, my mom got it. She was like, oh my gosh, I can give my child steroid medication, or I can change her diet. I can change the indoor air environment. I can put the pet outside and the smokers. I can, remember, this is the 70s.
Right.
I can get rid of the shag carpet and put in hardwood or tile floors. And I can make my child strong, her lungs strong. That meant track, tennis, bicycling, walking, all the things that make your lungs strong. And now, decades later, I feel like had I been on a steroid medication, I might be in a different position physically, and more importantly, health-wise, from the inflammation perspective. I think I now can recognize a trigger, and when I feel that coming on, and mitigate that and try to protect myself.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I can recognize things are about to go south. Let me figure out what's going on here. What happened? Like when the weather changes is when things can be a little tricky for me. And it was like just as we were starting to look at spring, I just walked, not ran, walked to the mailbox, came back, was like, I'm wheezing. Why?
Yes.
2
Yes.
seconds outside.
Yes.
And so my doctor was like, you could preventively take Claritin to get you started in the season to make sure you're good. And I was like, okay. And so honestly, I didn't take anything and I haven't had any problems. So I made it through April. That was usually my month. So April and October. I made it through April. So I was like, I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the origin story I think is so important for so many of us. When if you've read Malcolm Gladwell, The Tipping Point, he talks about the 10,000 hours that you need to become an expert on something. And I would say that your and my pan-allergic childhoods certainly qualify us for that expertise. But on top of that, in his book, he talks about the moment where you realize where you're from or your opportunity can drive you forward. So think about it. I'm from Austin, Texas, which is allergy asthma central because
Yeah.
everything blooms all year round. Number one. Number two, I'm in the 70s where people thought that it was a good idea to give your kids Tang instead of orange juice or Hawaiian punch instead of juice. And so this hippie doctor or a holistic doctor was like, give her the real stuff, the organic stuff. Told my parents about Wheatsville Co-op and Whole Foods Market, right? So I happened to be born in the place where Whole Foods was founded.
Oh, I
Um,
didn't know that. Okay.
right. The co-op pre Whole Foods was down in Austin. And so can you imagine it's like normal to eat organic food. Maybe the bananas have spots on them, but you're like, well, but they're organic. And so by that moment of being from Austin in a place where your doctor is saying be organic, where you learned that you can eat the honeycomb from your local bees, that can sometimes help mitigate the
With
pollen
allergy.
allergies. All those things lead you to a holistic way of being. But I take you one step backwards to the ancestors because I think this is a really wonderful story to share. My grandmother, and so many of us are ashamed of this history, but you should be really proud of this history. My grandmother was a housekeeper. Guess what? She was from that era of The Help, if you saw that
Yep.
movie, with a separate teacup and things of that nature. But guess what? She knew how to take care of a house with organic ingredients, the lemon juice, the baking soda, the vinegar. And most people don't even think about it, toothpaste. And so instead of the toxic chemicals flowing around our house, we had the organic options.
Mm-hmm.
Toothpaste can actually clean crayon off the walls. Most people today would put a toxic chemical at their child's nose level instead of using toothpaste. It can also clean the grout. Your house shouldn't smell like a pine forest. That's actually a formaldehyde based cleanser that is off gassing and deadening your nose hairs. In fact, your house that is clean, lemon juice, baking soda, uh, uh, vinegar, um, all sorts of things that are non-toxic were used in our home.
My mom, and actually we tried to put it in my book, Mommy, I Can't Breathe. There was this recipe she had, and it was the wood furnished cleaner that she used. And it was mineral oil and something else and something else. And all I know is it was white and liquid. And that's what she used to clean all the wood furniture because it wasn't toxic to me like Pledge would be. Sorry, Pledge. But but
You just lost a sponsor.
Pledge is, it's a little, a lot of those wood, cleaners are a little strong on the scent smell, and that would cause me to have issues. So this
Yes.
is what we used. And
Yes.
yeah, she had all sorts of little things that this was before what is it? What is the
Before,
name?
it's the reality that being a housekeeper in that era, they didn't walk out to the store to get the cleanser. They made the
Made it.
cleanser. They used organic ingredients and they made the cleansers. And those cleansers were often non-toxic to both them And so that means your grandmother or your aunt, who may have been a housekeeper, she might have had $5 to her name, but her house looked really good.
Right.
And that's something to be really proud of, because that heritage carries into what I have done, which is to be a designer of spaces, but also to brand my name onto products that are for the allergen aware consumer. The pillows, the comforters, the sheets, those things are now sold at Macy's nationwide under the brand Clean Design Home. And we happen to, I told you I was going to say this,
Yeah.
we're the first Black American brand to have a hypoallergenic textile line that has gone global. We are now in the UK and Japan by the end of this year.
That is so awesome. Congratulations. But how do you even arrive at trying to do something like that? Now I know that you went to school and your degree was in real estate finance, right?
Yes.
So how does that translate to this? No, I mean seriously, because real estate finance is really not usually the person that's creative. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, it's so funny. I have always wanted to be a creative, and I say this to anyone who wants to be an entrepreneur. There are many ways to arrive at your passion, and I did the corporate job, but I'm really glad I did, because in 1999 they had an IPO and I received a windfall that then allowed me to pursue my passion. I decided to speak to a mentor when the IPO check was issued, as one would say, and or shares were issued. And that person said, "What would you do if you had no money coming in, but you could live the same lifestyle? What would you do?" I said, "I would do something in real estate." He said, "Why?" I said, "Because my grandfather, my great grandfather, had these little, shotgun shacks down in Texas that they rented to oil field workers. And they, when I was 6, 7 years old, my grandfather one day said, 'What color should we paint these things?' And I was like, and you're a kid and you're used to the
Right.
one-dimensional coloring on a piece of paper or a coloring book. Now you've got 3 dimensions in front of you." And he said, "What color should we paint these?" I said, "Easter egg colors." And he did. So just like you would see in the Caribbean, the purple trim or the pink trim or yellow trim, that was that's what happened. White walls and then pretty trim. And so from that moment on, I fell in love with architecture and with real estate and with design. And when I got this master's in real estate finance from NYU, I experienced fiscal inequality, like so many people of color do, and women do. You go to a bank, you're like, "Hey, I have this great project. Here's my deck. I've done everything." And you get the 50 more questions. So you don't get financed the way you need to. So
Hmm.
again, going to a mentor says, and he's 80 something years old now and a wonderful professor at NYU, retired. And he said, "Robin, you can fight the battle or you can act like water and go around it." And I was like, "That's profound. Stop fighting the battle, go around it and still reach your goal." So I said, "How?" And he said, "Think about it. You're from Texas, you're living in New York. You're nice, but you're firm. You're direct, but you say it in a way that people can hear it without being offended. You have all the graces of your corporate job with a great Rolodex of people who have high net worths. Why not become the busy homeowner's best friend?" I'm like, "Huh?" He said, "Become a project manager." Again, had never heard of that as a profession. And he said, "What happens is you do a project, a construction project or a design project, and you get 15% of whatever they spend, because you're procuring their furniture, you're managing the contractor, you're communicating with the wife or husband. So you're the glue and the tape for the whole project." And I was like, "Oh, so imagine someone with a house in the Hamptons, a house in Aspen, and an apartment in Manhattan. And you're getting 15% of all their little projects, plus their friends." So our first year in business, we made 1.2 million in profit, just as an example. And I was the employee. So you see some gray hairs, they started back then. Anyway, the fast forward is From that, I learned the language and the lexicon of building and construction and design. And I learned I had a pretty good eye because inevitably the client would say, "What do you think?" I'd be like, "Well, I like that." Then you see it all put together, you take the pictures, it's in a magazine, there you go. Within 3 to 5, I guess 5 years of being in business, we got that phone call from O Magazine, and I thought I was being pranked. I did not return the phone call. 3 calls, 2 calls. The third call, the person was like, "If you don't call us back, we're going to go to the next person on the list." So, what lesson learned? There's a couple of lessons here. One, return the phone call. Two, when they asked me why was my company at that time named WSG Consulting, my answer was, well, if I fail, no one will know. It's me. That's 5 years into my successful business. So they said what anyone in the old world would say. If you don't believe in yourself, we can't write the story. I was like, they said, change the name and put your name in it. So back in that time, you could go to GoDaddy, which is what I did, put my name in. A couple of names popped up. Robin Wilson Home came up. And that's how my company got named. And they wrote a story about me being a great designer. And then all of a sudden, I got more clients. And 3 years later, I got my first licensing deal. We did kitchen cabinetry. We sold over $82 million wholesale revenue at 400 independent kitchen dealers nationwide. I was the first woman to have a licensed kitchen line. I beat Martha by 2 years, which is really thrilling. But what happened from that is what I call the pivot point, where we all recognize you've done the design, you've now got licensing. It's not a what's next, it's I need to pivot and be the brand. I need to understand what that means. So then I write the book. Here's the second book. I'll show you this one. Clean Design, Wellness for Your Lifestyle. I write that book and I begin to appear in media. And all of a sudden, you have that realization like, oh, I'm a brand. Oh, this is what I do. And I haven't trained as a designer, but I have some pretty good ideas. But the pivot point is when you realize what your niche is. I'm sure that doctors experience this, or even athletes experience this, where they're like, maybe a guy's a great free throw shooter, and he realizes I'm the clutch player. And the other person might recognize that they're the great defense person. I realized that my origin story of having asthma and allergies would propel me forward. Because when I was a kid with Kleenex, and you know this moment, I was the oddball. It was like, oh, she got the Kleenex. But then all of a sudden, in the mid 2008 to 2015, you started hearing about peanut allergies and schools banning certain foods and children literally almost being bubble children, just allergic to everything.
Yeah.
And you realize something's happened with our food or our environment. And so I started realizing my pivot point was to lean into what I really knew, which is my origin story as a panallergic child. Because when a parent says, my child woke up wheezing and sneezing, I don't know what to do, they want to give my child ADHD medication, I could say, do you have a feather pillow or a down alternative pillow? Oh, I have a feather pillow. Well, get rid of it. Try the down alternative for about a week and give me a call. The next thing you know, you're getting gifts at your office with parents saying, thank you so much. You've changed my child's life. They're sleeping through the night. And those are the things that pivot point of really leaning in to what you know and then really becoming the expert in that area.
I mean, we really do have a lot in common. I totally agree because I tell everyone, I was told years ago, talking about asthma and allergies is not sexy. So, Renee, what are you going to do with this? Ask Dr. Renee. And I was like, and I do. And here at Black Doctor, they know I talk about a lot of things, but I do talk about a lot of issues that pertain to Black women in particular for obvious reasons. But once I came out with these books, I've been doing a whole lot more things with asthma and allergies, and my partnerships are asthma and allergy related. You guys that watch, you know that my sister and I have a cooking show called In the Kitchen with Dr. Renee and Chef Alicia, and we are making nothing but allergy friendly foods. And that's a partnership with FAIR, Food Allergy Research and Education, which I just love them. They actually were the first people to buy a bulk order of my books, my children's books. So I'm very excited about the kids that are going to get to receive these books for free from them. So yeah, I love FAIR, and I mean I did a talk for a very for chefs across the world that cook for a very, very important company that a lot of people know. And the talk is on YouTube, so you can see it. But I talked to the chefs because they had to learn how to cook allergy friendly. And they
Yes.
wanted to listen to me talk about what they could do in my life and the seriousness of food allergies so that they understood. And so that was, another
Yep.
awesome experience that I would have never imagined. But like you said, I leaned into this is my thing. Like I know this better than most. I used to
Right.
tell everyone when I went to med school, I did not become an allergist or a pulmonologist because I already was one. And they were like, huh?
Interesting.
And I go, you don't understand. My doctor, and if she was still living, she would tell you. I would go in the office and I'd say, well, I'm not taking this again. I'll take that. I won't take that. And my mother would stand there like, oh my God, what is this child saying to the doctor? The lady has went and she's educated on this and she is 10. What is she talking about?
Right. But
But
isn't
my
that
doctor respected
powerful?
my opinion and she knew that if I said I wasn't going to take it, I wasn't going to take it. So you might
Right.
as well not prescribe that. It tastes awful and
Yes.
it's messing with my food and I didn't like it. So, but
Isn't it powerful that both of us, with our asthma and allergy experience, we learned to be early advocates for our own health? We learned that there are two ways to live. One is an abject fear. The second is to what I call prevent and protect. And the prevent is knowing the signs and symptoms in your body. You
mhm.
might have some people might have a tingle and their at their lip, others at their nose, others just that sense of tightness right in their chest.
My throat starts
No,
itching.
exactly, or their throat, right? And really knowing what is about to come around the corner if you don't address that environment you're in, or if you just ate something you know you shouldn't eat, like maybe ice cream, maybe that's what you're allergic to, but you went to a birthday party and you're like, this was good. And all of a sudden you're like, uh-oh, I feel this. That's the moment when you either tell your parents, I need a Benadryl, I need a Claritin, I need gallons of water. Sometimes that can help you flush it out. Um, or I need to take it easy and I need you to watch me for a little bit. Just so those are early advocate moments. One of the things that statistically we all should know is 60 million Americans suffer from asthma and allergies.
Yep.
That's 1 in 5 people. But in people of color, it goes down to 1 in 3. And that's often because of high-rise apartment buildings where you might live on the 16th floor, but the person on the first floor is smoking and it wafts into the air chamber, or vermin. People don't think about that, but cockroach vermin
Yep.
or other vermin that people have in high-rise buildings can affect children pretty early. And once the inflammation has occurred, you really can't get rid of it. One of the things that I tell people is if you can live in a non-smoking building, just demand it, if that makes sense. Or people have to smoke outside because it can really affect their children over time. Our line, as we also talked about, is I've created rules. This sounds crazy, but we don't think about anything other than a rule sometimes. And most people in the asthma and allergy world just say, "Oh, protect yourself," or "Oh, take this medication." Well, I can't take medicine every hour of every day. I need to protect and prevent things, prevent the trigger. And so, as I mentioned to you, we've launched at Macy's. This is exciting. 165 doors. We were really, really successful. We were the unicorn, I think, because so many consumers, allergen aware consumers went out and bought our stuff. And I thank you. And I'm so grateful to all of you. We're hoping that doctors will become aware of this brand so that we can, I mean, they'll just prescribe it. They'll be like, we know it's been tested. So when you go to Macy's or Belk, you'll see this. And this is our logo. And on the back, it has my picture. And this particular product is our protectors. And the protectors are for mattresses and also pillows. So let's talk about the rule of threes. This is the best of all of them. And by the way, I did this speech out in the Hamptons at a Healthy Child, Healthy World seminar. And I guess everyone left the speech and they bought out the store, like literally bought out. The buyer was like, "What did you just do?" I'm like, "Well, I did a speech and I told people that the average time for people to keep a pillow is 6 years. Ew, that's like dandruff, drool, ew, right?" So when you think about it, if you keep your pillow for 6 years and you haven't washed it, you are sleeping on a bacteria factory. And you're going to wonder why, oh, you go on vacation and you come back and you look so rested. Everybody's like, you look so great. And 3 days later, you sleep on your pillow again and you got the circles under your eyes. So
And
all the
even
that, right? So here's the simple rule for your pillow health. First of all, you have to remember there's 3 layers to the pillow. There's the pillow fluff itself, whatever's inside of the pillow. Then you have the cover on top of the fluff. And then you have typically a zippered pillow protector. If you're really allergic, you do that. And then on top of that, the pillow case. So what I recommend is every 3 weeks, first of all, you're going to do your weekly wash, but every 3 weeks, wash the zippered pillow protector. Every 3 months, wash your down alternative pillow. Put tennis balls, of course, in the dryer so it fluffs back up and doesn't get lumpy on you. And if you haven't done that, then every 3 years, replace the pillow. The simple pillow test is if you can fold your pillow in half and it stays for more than a second, that means it weighs more now than when you bought it. But a newer pillow that doesn't have as much bacteria, you'll probably try to flip it and it just flips right back. That means you still have a little life in that pillow.
Wow, I had no idea. I'll have to check this test. But yeah, I knew you have to wash your pillows. But so do you make the pillow the casing to go around the pillow as well, right?
Yes, we have pillows, we have sheet sets, which of course are the fitted sheet, the flat sheet, and then the pillow case. We have mattress protectors, mattress pads, as well as comforters. In addition, we just launched last week our new mattress line. And on the very first day, which is when the public learned about it, which was today, we've already sold 2 mattresses today. And the exciting thing is these mattresses, you've heard about the foam mattresses. They often heat your body up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
We have foam, but we also have coils that are covered in cotton. So you still have the back protection, the structural protection for your body. They ship in a box. They make the actual mattress, then they squish it down with this unique technology, and then they ship it to you in a box. And you let it sit there for about 3 or 4 hours when you open the box and cut the packaging, and it puffs itself up, and those coils then reactivate.
Oh my goodness, how neat!
Yep. So we have three levels of those mattresses: the entry level, the luxury level, and then the couture level, which all of them allow you to say if you want plush, standard, or firm.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Fancy, fancy.
Fancy.
Yeah. I look. I tell most people, and I mean I'm 45, but I really haven't bought a whole ton of mattresses. So.
Right. Right. Well, let us know. We can get you a code. Actually, I will make sure you have a code so you can get a discount on our mattresses. But the beauty of them, like I said, is they are designed in a eco-conscious way. It's minimal packaging. We have a pledge that was signed by the factory. They're made in the USA. All of the products are certified. It's just really when you have allergies and asthma, if you sleep on the wrong thing, whether a hotel or your home, you will not have the whole restful story that you need to reclaim your daily energy and your health.
Yeah, I mean, I travel quite a bit, and as soon as I check in, I usually forget till I'm about to go to sleep. But sometimes when I check in, I'll remember, but I'm always calling the front desk. Okay, so can you take these pillows? I
Oh,
just need non-feathered pillows. So if you could
that's
just
right.
bring those, I'd appreciate it.
That's
They
right.
were like, "You sure you don't want any of the?" I am absolutely positive. Just take them out. And
Yep.
then sometimes, you have these duvets that have feathers in them. I'm
Oh,
like, "You could take this off the bed too, please."
exactly.
And they're like, "Ma'am, I'm positive. This isn't a good
Exactly.
idea."
Exactly.
And so
Well, the exciting thing for doctors, I think, with this brand is it's tested, where they're GOT certified. The sheets, for example, they're Okotex certified. So even the dyes that are in the textiles, they're tested to European standards, which are a little
oh,
stronger
yeah, they
in
are.
certain areas. And so we also have just really maximize the information that we know today so that our line will ultimately and I jokingly say this, but Carter's, the
Of course.
children's book, everybody knows Carter's, right?
They've got
With
stores.
if a friend has a baby, you get your cotton onesies from Carter's. They don't do any advertising. It's all word of mouth. Our goal with Clean Design Home, and the website again is cleandesignhome.com. Our goal is that we become the Carters for the allergen aware consumer. And we're going to need the help of doctors and we're going to need the help of word of mouth of people so that we can make sure that if you have uh, a child who has allergies, or if you develop adult allergies, or if you even come back from the hospital after a surgery, like a cancer surgery, and your doctor says, get clean, like when this pandemic occurred in 2020, this global pandemic, so many people heard everybody say, get your house clean, and they didn't really know what to do. They didn't know where
Mhm.
to start. And so my book started selling again. People started buying it because it has the basic steps of what you need to do to your home. But what I realized is if I rebranded, so this is another pivot moment, right? In 2005, they told me to put my name in it. In 2020, I took my name out of the product and put it into a way that the consumer could instantly know what we did. Clean Design Home pays homage to the book. It leans in to what I do. And it also has allowed us now to go into multiple other categories, like the mattresses and many more things that are about to be announced. I think that any of us in the allergy and asthma world need to remember that our origin story, if you have food allergies, like you and I both do, but
Mhm.
you wrote a cookbook, right? I haven't done that yet. I might do that one day. If we lean into what we know, we can give good information to people because we have been on the forefront of what I call the one kid in the whole school to now 1% of the school doesn't have allergies.
Right. And it's so odd now. And I read my book at the school that's in the book. This was my kindergarten picture that the illustrator recreated. And the book talks about me going to school for the first time and my allergies. And I read my book at my actual school that's in the book. And I walked into the building, and before you could even get in, there was a sticker on the door that said nut free. And this is walking
Exactly.
into the building, not
Oh my
even
goodness.
classrooms. This was the entire school. Sitting down with the principal, I come to find out the entire school district is nut free.
Right. And
But it wasn't like that with me.
I remember, and you probably remember those moments where whatever you might have been allergic to, there's, I'll just tell the story. I'm in second grade. Again, this is when you learn to be an advocate. And I now have raised my daughter not to be part of what I call the clean plate club. It's like, no. So, but back then it was, you must eat everything on your plate. So I left my little grilled cheese sandwich to the side of my plate because I was like, I'm allergic. I can't have milk products. And so this teacher said, eat your sandwich. I said, I can't. I'm allergic. You're just a picky eater. Eat your sandwich. I was like, I can't. And so she made me take a bite of my sandwich. I said, you need to call my mom right now because I'm going to be sick in about 15 minutes. I could feel the tickle in my throat. You know this, right? And eyes starting to bulge, which is the beginning of anaphylaxis, and on and on. About 15 minutes later, I can barely walk. I'm can't go
Drooling.
upstairs. I can't breathe. And an ambulance gets called, and I'm rushed to the hospital. And this teacher, I'm sorry. And now today, they would have been sued. My mother's like, oh, it's okay. You
You
didn't know.
survived.
I'm like, Mom, come on. It's so funny. But the moment from that moment on, it was, what can you eat? Or my parents packed me a lunch. And it wasn't trusting that the school or the teachers really understood the gravity of the situation. Now, you do grow out of allergies technically. When people say you grow out of allergies, you don't ever grow out of allergies. You develop a tolerance to the trigger, but you still have the underlying issue. And that's what plagues a lot of young people and young adults. People say, oh, I'm free of my allergies. You might be, but what has really happened is you've developed tolerance. It's just like asthma. You might not have an asthma attack for several years. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, you have one, and maybe you haven't renewed the prescription for your inhaler. That is where people get in trouble. And that's where we hear about the terrible incidents of death or hospitalizations, because they just think they're over that condition. So I say to anyone, if you have allergies or asthma, remain vigilant, because your goal should always be to protect and prevent the trigger from affecting you.
Definitely. There was a story I just read. I think it was last week. 14-year-old boy, he said to the teacher, can I go to the whatever office to go get my snack or whatever? I still don't understand why at 14 it had to be someplace else, but it was someplace else. The teacher said, oh, you can just have one of my granola bars. He says, I need to go to the office because he didn't feel good. So he went to the nurse, the school nurse, which, most schools don't even have a nurse. But this was in a different kind of neighborhood, if you know what I mean. So
Yes.
he goes to the nurse, and the nurse like, oh my goodness. The nurse calls. No, she said, let me give you some Benadryl and let's just wait and see what happens. So then he starts throwing up and he's like flushed. So she calls the ambulance. He is no longer with us. I was like, oh my God. So between the nurse and the teacher, you two must feel, I don't know how you sleep at night.
Right. Right. The hardest part is helping people understand that you have a window of whether
I know what happened. She epied him, but she didn't do it right away. She waited because she's like, oh, he'll be fine.
No. Well, at the end of the day, allergies and asthma, they affect so many people. You know someone who has, your friend knows someone who has, and the most important thing is to remember that if you have a simple solution, like we talked about pillow health, another solution could simply be asking people to, I don't know how to say this any other way, to be sensitive to your children when it's a birthday party, right? If your child has an allergy to milk products, and all they have is cheese, pizza, and ice cream. Now your kid's like, why am I here? Or I can't eat anything, or they do eat something, and then there's a repercussion later. So it's so important, as a parent, to remember that it's critical that your child advocate for themselves, because it's so important. If that 14-year-old had said, call my mom, call my dad now, like, Miss Nurse, I
Right.
don't call my mom now. I don't care if you're offended. Call them, or call 911 now. I you never know what the outcome might have been.
Right.
But the administration certainly should have taken it a little bit more seriously.
Yeah. And I my mother, she made me my own cupcakes so that when I went to parties, I had something to eat, because she knew more than likely, because it was so rare, she knew more than likely I wouldn't be able to eat what they had. So then she's like, "Well, here." And then I had ice cream too. It was goat's milk ice cream, and it came
I had that.
single
Yep.
serve. And so I
Yeah.
had I came prepared. I had my
Yeah.
cake and ice cream, and I could have with everyone else. I also tell a lot of people, I preach, advocate, please advocate, because I've heard horrible stories about parents who don't tell their children about their allergies. Don't ask me why. I was like, that's insane. Or you don't tell the school because you don't want Johnny to be treated differently. Are you crazy?
Right. Right.
So
Well,
I think it's so important that you please instill in your children. And because I've had allergies so long, I asked my mom, how did I know? Because it was a longer list than it is now, but it was a long list. And she's like,
yes.
well, you would ask, can you eat this? And I tell you you're allergic. And I literally was just adding it up. And somehow I tell everyone I cataloged it in my brain somehow. And I could go anywhere. And there's a story in the book about I danced competitively. So we would travel around the country. My parents couldn't always go, they're working people. But my mother never had any problem sending me, because I would have my nebulizer with me, and she knew I
Yep.
knew how to give my own treatments.
Yep.
And usually my sister came with me too. I call her my nurse. My sister's actually younger than me, 3 years behind me. So, yes, I'm 12 and she's 9. And my sister would come with me, and she knew too. If something happens to Renee, she knew what to do. But
Yes.
I always tell everyone, she's my taste tester. My sister would eat the foods, and she might not be able to say what's in it, but she would say, Renee, you can't eat this. And I would listen
Right.
to her because she was
Right.
right most of the time. So my mother never worried about these things. Like, I used to
Right.
travel all the time without her, and it was not a big deal because she knew I knew better, and my sister knew better. I'm
Right.
real good about, I just won't eat if I have to. If I don't know, I just won't eat, and I will
Right.
figure out something else to eat later,
Right.
or I'll eat before.
One of the things you say that's so powerful is your parents gave you permission to advocate for yourself. There are a lot of parents who, rightly or wrongly, allow their children to only hear the message, don't talk back. And that means you tell the child, don't speak up if you have a need. Because if an adult says you're being picky, the kid doesn't want to talk back, because then they're disrespecting their parents' rules. Tell your child, advocate for your health, for your body, for you as a human, period. And and don't ever, if someone says don't tell anyone, don't keep that a secret. So it could be that the teacher gave you Cheetos, and you can't eat Cheetos. And that night, as we all talk about, the allergic reaction, the trigger may happen at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. But at 4 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, when your cortisol levels are low, that's when the wheezing happens in the middle of the night and people get rushed to the emergency room.
Mhm.
Remember that, because a lot of people are like, why is she always waking up in the middle of the night? It's because your body's cortisol, the stress hormones, just went down, and now your body can react, for lack of a better word. And that's when you end up and I'm sure you remember this, the shower being turned on at full blast, the steamy bathroom, long before they had the steamers, the
Right.
nebulizers. Um, and uh, and then, the funny thing I tell people is ask what's in your environment. Your indoor air quality matters.
Mm-hmm.
So if you buy the $9 furniture set, you're going to likely have formaldehyde-based glues added urea formaldehyde-based glues, which means they're off-gassing and they're toxic, known carcinogen. Um, if you are buying a sofa that costs $9, you might have some form of boric acid, another name for roach killer, in the cushions, because those cushions and those sofas that cost $9 are typically sold to high rise, low income communities, the communities that really don't need these additional chemicals and toxins. And it's to prevent vermin from entering the cushion. But at the same time, think about it. You in your bed and your sofa are lying next to it, and boric acid roach killer is next to your face or your child's face. So those are some indoor air quality things and environmental things to be aware of. Within a home, indoor air quality can be 6 to 8 times worse than outdoor air quality. And especially with so many of us working from home with laser printers and other printers, people forget if you don't open the windows, you're off gassing all those toxins from your home office into your entire home. At least in an office place, they have air circulation that displaces the air more frequently. So if you're in your house, given that many houses are a tight building envelope, you could have indoor air quality issues that are exceeding any normal level because you have a gas cooker. You may have not changed your air filter for your AC or your heater for a very long time. You may forget that in your kitchen or your bath, those are the two areas where temperature changes happen multiple times in a day. So if you have very cheap cabinets that have, formaldehyde-based glues, and you remember the Katrina trailers, we saw that phenomena where people were in the trailers and they started getting sick and they were just like, what is happening to me? So in your bathroom, it heats up because you take a shower or a bath. Your kitchen, you cook, it heats up because you're cooking in there. Those are two areas where if you have formaldehyde-based glues, you're spreading that around your house. And then I will not say a certain retailer, but if you go to certain retailers, you'll notice that the rugs and carpets are really, really cheap. And it's something called polyethylene, right? It's a petroleum-based product, people. It's off-gassing in your house. It's like having leftover oil products in your house. That's why it's so cheap. They're great for outdoor rugs, but they should not necessarily be used for indoor rugs, especially if your children are crawling over them, because they will do that and then put their hands in their mouth. I always recommend, if you can, spend the extra money on the sisal rug, the wool rug, the uh, cotton rug versus the cheaper polyethylene rug. You might see a difference in the indoor air quality of your home.
Definitely. And then I want you to tell us what all products do you have? Because I know you have also the mattress covers that I think a lot of people don't realize that that's a way to also be very, very, very protective of allergies is to cover your
Sure.
mattress before you put on your fitted sheet. You cover the whole mat. Like when I got to college, the first thing my mother did, we covered the whole mattress with the mattress cover and
Exactly.
then made the bed.
Well, like I told you, if you go to Macy's.com, you'll see this set. It's called an allergen barrier cover.
Allergen
And
barrier cover. Okay.
yeah, allergen barrier cover. It has the pillowcase and it has the mattress cover.
Okay.
And so what you do is, again, just like we talked about pillow health, there's the mattress health. There's the inside of the mattress with the foam or the cotton or whatever it's made of. And then you have the outer cover of the mattress. That's layer one. Then you do a mattress protector. Then you have perhaps a mattress pad, that's layer 2, and then you have your fitted sheet.
Yep.
3 layers of protection between you and that mattress. Because most people don't think about it. You'll keep your mattress 15 years, 20, 25 years. Skin cells, dandruff, drool, who knows what else, right? And all of those things mean that your mattress will weigh more than when you bought it by the time you get rid of it. So it's very important to think about the 3 layers of protection, just like we have the 3 layers of protection for our pillow. And always, always think about it this way. If you had a baby, would you raise your baby in a chemical factory? Answer we know is no. So, at the same token, if you had a dirty mattress and you knew it was visibly dirty, would you just put a paper towel over the mattress and let your baby lie on the mattress? The answer is no. So you can't wash your mattress. So you need to have things around your mattress that you can wash that hopefully prevent any bacteria or layering to come, to get on your face or your skin, so that you can stay healthy.
That is just amazing that you came out with this. I'm just in awe. Like, wow, I would have never thought. But like I said, these are things that I use, but I would have never thought, to create a whole business behind it is just amazing. So
Thank you.
what's next? I mean,
Well,
I know you like to
we
pivot.
can't tell. I'll tell you offline,
Okay.
but I'll say this much to everyone. The Clean Design Home brand is geared for the allergen-aware consumer. It is global. It is going to be going into multiple categories. Our goal is to become the leading source for the allergen-aware consumer at an affordable price. If you go on to cleandesignhome.com, that's one online store. But we were also selected for Amazon's entrepreneurial incubator. And so we actually have an Amazon store now. It's called amazon.com/clean design home. We have things like vegetable steamer baskets. If you're eating healthier, you need a vegetable steamer basket so you can wash your fruits and vegetables and sometimes let them sit there a little bit longer than normal. We have salt and pepper shakers. We have laundry cleaning baskets, things that allow you also to organize your drawers a little better. Things that are all about every room of the home. And one of the things that we just put on our Clean Design Home store, when you go to the store, you type shop clean design. We just learned some of our clients need this because they live in places where they want to get some fresh air, but maybe the screens on their window aren't very good. Maybe they're living in a rental house or building. We just added a mesh screen that attaches on the inside with magnets or with tape, adhesive, like the command strips. So imagine you could open your window if you needed to, put this mesh over it so bugs and pollen and stuff still stay outside and you don't have to spray inside of your house. And we also added the same under our children's tab for baby carriers, like the mosquito. Those are things people need. They don't want to spray chemicals if they don't have to. And so we're doing everything we can to give people solutions, to be the solutions-based brand that doctors can prescribe for their patients and consumers can go to, and it's affordable luxury.
That is just awesome. I can't wait to check out this Amazon store, and I'm gonna I put links already, but I'll put more links, you guys, from what she's talked about. So I'll put that in the post so you can see those. But kudos to you. I mean, you are flipping the allergy world on its I love it. I love it. That is
Thank
so
you.
awesome. I mean, last week we had Nicole Wilson, who created Everybody Eats, because everyone should be able to eat. So she has crackers and crisp breads, and I know she'll be expanding with more foods, but she does the EU 14. So,
Wonderful.
and they're grain free. So I'm like, oh my God, I think these are probably very healthy too. And then Danielle Tubbs, Tubby's Taste, she had vegan cookies and soy and nut free.
I
And these are
think,
two Black women, like I said, in Chicago. And I was like, you guys are killing it. And
yeah,
I also saw that you were on the Forbes list for 2020. 2020 was hard on a lot of businesses, but you clearly kicked butt.
we, you know, we made the Inc. magazine top 100 female founders list in 2020, which was such an honor. I mean, people like Tracy Ellis Ross and her pattern, you
Oh,
know, which
good.
I'm
So
wearing
proud
right
of
now. She was on the list. Sarah Blakely from Spanx
you.
was on the list. I'm like, me, you know, is that moment. But I've worked for 2 decades,
Yes.
and I have the pan-allergic childhood to add to that resume. I think the other thing that is so very important is I'm paying homage to my ancestors. I think I shared this with you. My grandfather on my father's side was a sharecropper. He picked cotton in Texas, very poor. And today, my products are made of luxury Supima cotton grown in Texas and California, shipped to the mill. And so if you think about the homage to the ancestor, he picked Supima cotton. 3 generations later, his granddaughter now has a line sold globally made of luxury Supima cotton. I think we as a world need to recognize the irony of that story. It's a
Mm-hmm.
Horatio Alger story. My grandfather would be so proud. And I think that knowing as we go into this first year of Juneteenth being an actual holiday, I'm from Texas. I've celebrated it all my life. And June 19th is a day where families got together. It was like the 4th of July before the 4th of July. I almost call it the family Independence Day. Families would come together and elders would talk about their history, and cousins would meet sometimes for the first time, and really it was a way to bring the family together. So many other communities have, whether it's bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, or debutante events, or whatever they may have for their bringing their families together. And I hope that our global world, um, people of color, embrace Juneteenth as a family gathering day to share the historical stories of ancestors, to maybe even pull up ancestry.com and walk people through. Oh, this is your great uncle who was married to your aunt, and these are your cousins, and this is how, because that history is getting lost every day.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Robin. This has been awesome. You guys, I'm sure we will have her back again because she just wealth of information and completely understands this asthma and allergy business very, very well. But next week, you guys, we have a very big guest. So if I told you guys, if you were on my email list, then you already know. But next Thursday, for all my Pelotoners, Tunde Oyenen will be right here on blackdoctor.org with me for the hour. And I'm so excited to talk to her about her life, about Speak, her book, her new book that just came out. And I forgot to bring it down here to show you. But you guys, next Thursday, 6 o'clock Eastern, 3 o'clock Pacific, 5 o'clock Central, same time, same place. I will see you next week. Thank you again, Robin.